Oh, we can have a party for speaking English. Let's join in and watch Brian, the professor of linguistics, who is in Germany approximately 1931, hosting a party to speak English.
Fräulein Landauer, nicht wahr?
Herein.
Fräulein Landauer.
Oh, come in. Good afternoon, Fräulein Landauer.
Good afternoon.
How nice to see you again.
It is nice to see you again. Ah, it is good. You have others. So, we shall make a party for speaking English, yes?
Oh, well, actually, my friends were just leaving.
No. I'm delighted to say, Brian.
But, Sally, you have this appointment, don't you?
I'll cancel it. I love parties. Good. This is splendid for the practicing. You will introduce me, please.
Yes, of course. Herr Wendel, Fräulein Landauer.
Sehr erfreut, gnädiges Fräulein.
No, English conversation.
I'm so charmed, dearest miss.
And, this is Miss Sally Bowles.
How do you do?
Bobby. In Landauer. In my house.
Last summer, when I...
Okay, the guest is Landauer, and she's quite a celebrity because the family's very wealthy. They own department stores, and that's why that comment was made about, oh, Landauer in my house. Now they're all struggling with the English language, meaning those who are in Germany. Sally Bowles, who has her eye on Brian, did not want to leave the room because this Miss Landauer arrived. And she has her eyes on the professor of linguistics. So here we have a conversation, just struggling to speak and say the right word or words. Okay, I'm not too sure what's going on there, if he's like cheating with a cheat sheet or what, but it's kind of interesting that they're doing some lighthearted and fun things in this movie, because most of the movie is about decadence and the takeover of an entire nation by an oppressive group called the Nazis.
You are all healthy, I hope.
Yes.
Yes?
I've had a cold, but it is better now.
Good.
How sad. A cold from the nose is most aggravating.
Okay, so he's talking about wind currents, a cold from the north, and she's talking about a collection of symptoms in the human body.
The cold of the bosom, not of the nose.
Oh.
All the phlegm was here.
All the what?
Okay, now the reason I'm bringing this out to you is this. Pay careful attention to words in any hoax news story, because they are creating puns on words. They are using the words to create an entirely different meaning than the one that you think. And that's why most of the population doesn't get it. So I have developed a real keen sense of creating puns for people. So for example, just a little bit from my personal life, I decided to try to play softball again and enter the baseball diamond. And I was just running and passing by the opposing team. And the opposing team member said something to me like, "Your team is over there." And I said, "I'm a traitor." And he said, "What?" And he didn't get the pun. "I'm a traitor." What? So I spelled it out for him. Trader, like I'm being traded to his team, and traitor, Traitor. I'm a traitor in that I'm leaving my team and going to your team. And then he laughed and giggled because the pun wasn't apparent to him. It really was very obscure, the pun. And that's the way it is with these stories. The puns, the meanings are so obscure to the population they don't get it, and they can't get it. So begin to develop a keen sense of the usage of language. So this is Sally Bullis, who wants Brian, the professor of linguistics. And she's getting kind of delighted by sitting in on this fancy linguistics lesson. She's just kind of a simple, lighthearted, let's have fun 24/7 woman. And she's just kind of like, what? And that's kind of what you all need to be. What? Will you repeat that for me? So whenever you approach a new story, play it again, Sam. Play it again, Sam. Just keep playing it until you see the puns, until you see the usage of words in the form of witchcraft. And then you'll begin to get it.
The phlegm, it comes in the tubes.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Phlegm. PH is always pronounced as F, and you don't sound the G.
Then why are they putting the G, please?
Well, that's a very good question, but rather difficult to explain.
Try, Brian.
Well, it's just there.
So?
So I can relate to Brian. Try to explain. And I really, really appreciate questions when they come to me. And I do try to explain to the best of my ability. But every now and then, anyone who's been trying to do this research over years is a little like Professor Brian, and we just say, well, it's just there. And that's that. In other words, it's always been there in any period of history, in any epoch. The witchcraft has been there. It has been there from the very day Satan was cast down from heaven. It began to dominate and control on this earth the very moment that Eve went to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And hence, every inhabitant on earth got subjected to the power of the devil and his witchcraft. So it's not unique to our time. But what is unique is the fact that you are beginning to learn about it and discover how the usage of words creates spells. And those spells create people who are spellbound. And they can't get out of it. You know, there's only one way to get out of it. Through the power of Jesus Christ, who defeated the power of the devil, and who defeated the power of this world, and delivered us from this present darkness. Praise His name. Let's continue on with this little funny segment in the movie Cabaret. By the way, this movie won all sorts of awards, and I was surprised to look on my copy of it. It was rated PG. You would think it would have a higher rating than PG.
Mr. Professor, you do not know?
No.
Then I'm sorry. I cannot help you.
It's most amusing. Very amusing.
Rein. Oh, how thoughtful of you, Fräulein Schneider. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome, Herr Roberts. Gnädiges Fräulein.
Please. Please. You must take a cake, dearest miss.
I'm not eating between meals.
You're not eating between meals.
I am eating between meals. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, Brian, Liebling, did I tell you? I saw a film the other day about syphilis. Oh, it was too awful. I couldn't let a man touch me for a week.
Coffee?
Is it true you can get it from kissing?
Oh, yes. And your king, Henry VIII, caught it from letting Cardinal Wolsey whisper in his ear.
That is not, I think, founded in fact. But from kissing, most decidedly. And from towels, and from cups.
And of course, screwing.
Screwing, please.
Oh, fornication.
Fornication.
Oh, right. Darling, what is the German word?
I don't remember.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
Bumsen.
Oh.
That would be the one German word you pronounce perfectly.
Well, I ought to. I spent the entire afternoon boomsoming like mad with some ghastly old producer who promised to give me a contract. Gin, Miss Landau? Fritz is overdoing it a bit, isn't he?
Natalia's very rich. Fritz is very broke.
That old heel-clicking, hand-kissing routine of his isn't going to get him anywhere with.
Okay, that's pretty interesting too, how they go from the usage of words in that scene, and then the camera takes you where? The camera takes you to a pond, and you're looking down in this pond, and you're thinking that you see reality. Okay, right there. Okay? Now, as Dave J. or Dave Johnson has said many, many times, it's a reflected reality. In other words, you think that what you see there is real, but if you throw a rock in it, it'll bust it all up, because it's just the reflection of that tree. It's the reflection of the leaves on the tree. It's not the actual reality. So it's interesting how the two segments in the film, the usage of the words, and then immediately you go to a reflected reality. Now that's exactly the essence of the witchcraft. The witchcraft creates a false reality. Okay, there's the witchcraft, and then here comes the reflected
Fritz
reality.
is overdoing it a bit, isn't he?
Natalia's very rich. Fritz is very broke.
That old...
And it's also very interesting to me that they chose the tree. The tree what? The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now in the Kabbalah system, they just simply refer to it as the tree of life. But it's not the tree of life. It's the tree of death. That's a thing you have to realize. They constantly switch things. So you can look up the tree of life and you'll see all the gematria and the usage of the numbers. But it's not a tree of life, it's a tree of death. Why? Because in the day you eat of it, you shall what? Die. So the reflected reality arises from what? The party to learn to use words. And it is the usage of words coupled with the demonic powers that create the lies and create the false world. So this scene ended kind of funny in that Susan said things that horrified Brian. And she kind of wanted to get in there and mess the whole thing up because she was jealous of this very clean and very pretty woman who wanted to live life right and not live it so flippantly and with a lot of immorality such as Susan.
Entire afternoon boomsoming like mad with some ghastly old producer who promised to give me a contract. Gin, Miss Landau?
Okay, so once again, where is their life? In the words of God. They are the very breath of God. The Bible is inspired. God breathed. And when you read those words, and when you take those words in, you are actually taking in the very breath of God and life. Use those words and be very, very careful about the words that have been inflicted on you by the witches and warlocks who use the system to create what? A false reality. Thank you for watching this. End of video.